Welcome back. Let's check our work. So 1A is 3 copies of 2/10. This is what 2/10 looks like. Decimal 2. And if you want, you could also have a 0 in front. 2/10. So when I'm solving, my place value chart just needs to have a decimal. This will be my ones. And here will be my tenths. Here is 2/10. And I need 3 copies of that. So here's 1 copy, 2 copies, 3 copies. 3 copies of 2/10. So now when I solve, I have 2, 4, 6, nothing in the ones. So our answer for A is 6/10. B, I have 5 groups of 200ths, which would be decimal 0, 2. And if you want, you can have a 0 in the front. When I'm solving this, if this is where my decimal is, I'd have the ones over here, the tenths, and the hundredths. So the number I'm working with is 200ths. So I'm going to put 2 dots in the hundredths. How many groups do I need? Right now I have 1 group. I want 5. So here's 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups, 4 groups, 5 groups. Now if I'm counting up, I have a total of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Remember, when I hit 10, I need to regroup. I'm going to take all 10 of those, like 10 pennies, and I'm exchanging them for 1 dime. So we're doing our answer. We have no pennies, 1 dime, a decimal, $0. So you could write your answer here as 1/10, or you could add a 0 and make it 10 hundredths, and you could also have a 0 in the front. All right, last problem was 6 times 4 hundredths. So if this is 2 hundredths, 4 hundredths would be decimal 0, 4. I could have a 0 in the front. Let's try solving. So I'm going to make my place value charts again. Here's my decimal, which would make this the ones, this the tenths, this the hundredths. And my problem, I'm starting with 4 hundredths. 1, 2, 3, 4. And in this problem, I am doing 6 times 4 hundredths. So here's 1 400th. Here is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is a lot of dots. All right, I have a feeling I'm going to go over 10. So think of these as pennies. I'm going to count out 10 pennies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 10 pennies. I'm going to make 1 dime with that. Let's see if I get another group of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right there. Another 10 pennies. I'm going to make another dime. Oh, now I'm out. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pennies left. My 2 dimes and $0. So 6 times 4 hundredths was 24 hundredths. There we go. 24 hundredths. How'd you do? All right, so I want to do some of these area models. Let's do an example. Hopefully this will be a little familiar for you from something you did in 4th grade. So I'm going to go back to my paper. In fact, let's use our math notebook because it might be handy to have an example. So I opened up, I'm still in module 1, and I found my next blank page. And actually, do you know what I want us to do? I wish I did this right in here, but I want us to do one of these examples so we can go back and look. So I'm going to do multiplying with decimals. I know I write fast, so you might want to pause the video so you can catch up. All right, this problem here, let's see how many copies I see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we did 5 times, and one of those groups was 2 in the hundredths place. So 2 hundredths. And our answer was 10 hundredths. I'm going to recreate this underneath. So I'm going to draw 2 lines. And the decimal is going to go above this line. So I have my ones, my tenths, my hundredths. And if you have a different colored pen, it might be good to switch here. And you might need to pause too to get caught up. So first we had 2 hundredths, and we had 5 copies of this. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I showed that we counted out 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So it's all of them in this case. And it becomes 1 over here. So our answer is 0, decimal 1, with nothing left in the hundredths place. All right, pause the video so you can get caught up, and then we're going to do the area problem underneath here. Okay, let's draw a line so I don't get confused about the 2 examples. And let's do something a little bit more complex than what we had up here. So I'm going to still do 5. Let's do 5 times 0 decimal 0 2 3. So 23 thousandths. So one way you could solve is by doing the place value chart with place value discs. Another method you could use to solve is the area model. So hopefully you remember from last year. I'll do a different color. I'm going to draw a rectangle. And the whole point of the area model is that you are multiplying your numbers 1 part at a time. So I'm going to put my 5 over on the left, and I'm multiplying 5 times these 2 digits. The zeros don't count because they don't add value. So if I have 2 digits here, I'm going to separate them into 2 spots. My first digit's a 2, and it's in the hundredths. So I'm going to write 2 hundredths next to it. The second number I'm going to have to multiply by is that 3. And that 3 is in the thousandths. Pause now if you need to get caught up. All right, now we're actually going to do the multiplication. So first let's do our 5 times our 2 hundredths. 5 times 2 hundredths. Well, I know 5 times 2 is 10. So our answer must be 10 hundredths. Now let's take our 5 and multiply it by our 3 thousandths. I know 5 times 3 is 15. So 5 times 3 thousandths must be 15 thousandths. So when you do the area model before, you would just add your two parts together. We have to do one more step with this because these aren't just a normal 10 or a normal 15. This is 10 hundredths and this is 15 thousandths. So first I have to think, what does this look like as a decimal? And I hope you've been trying to practice memorizing your place values. So 10 hundredths on my chart here, I see my hundredths here. If my 10 has to end in the hundredths place, that would look like this. Decimal 10. You write that down. Decimal 10. Now I have 15 thousandths. So my 15 has to end in this thousandths place. So I'm going to place it here. That's 15, and it's ending in the thousandths. Means I have to add a decimal and a 0 as a placeholder. I will record that here. Decimal 0, 1, 5. Now I add these pieces together. And I can't add like this. I need to write it up and down. So I have decimal 1, 0 plus decimal 0, 1, 5. Oops, I'm sorry. Now I can add. It helps me if I add, there's nothing there, if I add a 0. 0 plus 5 is 5. 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus 0 is 1. And my decimals come down. So when I multiply 5 by each of these parts and add the parts together, our answer should be 115 thousandths. Okay, I know this part may have been a little bit tricky, so let's do another problem together. Pause the video if you need more time. I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to use just paper pencil. Let's do another one. In this case, let's multiply 6 times, or 6 groups of, or 6 copies of, 1 and 21 hundredths. So again, to set up our area problem, we're going to make a large rectangle. And I'm going to set my numbers on the outside. So on the short side, let's put just the 6, since it's just a normal 6. And then we have 3 digits in our number here. I'm going to draw, so there's 3 sections. Our first digit is a 1, and it is in the ones place. Our second digit is a 2, and it is in the tenths. This part's important, writing down these place values. My third digit is a 1, and it's in the hundredths. And it's important to write those down because I can't just multiply 6 times 2 and 6 times 1 and say that my answer is 12 or say that my answer is 6. Because it's not 12, it's 12 tenths or 6 hundredths. So let's slow that down and take a look. First, I'm going to multiply my 6 times that first number. 6 times 1 is 6, and my answer should stay in the ones place. Started there, it's going to end there. Now I'm taking the 6, I'm going to multiply it by 2 tenths. So 6 times 2 is 12, and it's going to stay the tenths. 6 times 100th is 6, and it's going to stay in the hundredths place. Now, here's why I kept rewriting this, because I don't want to forget. I have to make these all into decimals now in standard form and make sure I'm placing the digits in the correct place. So pause the video, see if you can figure out what does 6 ones, 12 tenths, and 6 hundredths, what does that look like as a decimal? Okay, let's check. 6 ones means I have a 6 in the ones place, which is right before the decimal. 12 tenths, I need my 2 to be in the tenths place, which means my 1 is in the ones place. This is 12 tenths. It ends in the tenths place. And 6 hundredths would be decimal, 0 tenths, 6 hundredths. Now we have to add our pieces together. So I do it over on the side here. 6 decimal. Then I have 1 decimal 2. You need to make sure that your decimals are lined up. And then decimal 0, 6. Take a second, add them up. Okay, again, it helps me if I add zeros in these empty spaces. So I'm filling it in like that. Now it's easier for me to see. So I have 0 plus 0 plus 6 plus 6. 0 plus 2 plus 0 is 2. My decimal comes down. 6 plus 1 is 7. Plus 0 is still 7. So our answer for this problem is 7 26 hundredths. Okay, I want you to do a little practice with this. So in your blue Learn book, I want you to solve question 2A and 2B. 2A and 2B. 2A, they've almost solved for you. The only thing you need to do is figure out 7 times 3 ones. What would that be as a decimal? 7 times 1/10. What would that be as a decimal? 7 times 2 hundredths. They did for you. That would be 14 hundredths. Then add your pieces together. B, you need to create your rectangle. So I'm going to help you. On one side, we have a 6. And on the other side, we have 3 digits we have to look at. So I'm going to break it into 3 parts. My first digit is a 4, and it is in the ones place. My second digit is a 2, and it's in the tenths. And my third digit is a 5, and it's in the hundredths. I want you to finish solving to figure out what would our answer be. When you're ready to check, come on back to see your answers. Good job.